Hi there, I'm Mike Bank, and welcome back to section 4 of our interview with Omkar Joshi. So Omkar, you've kindly told us about your entrepreneurship story, your startup story, all the way up to the exit of your startup and your acquisition by a large corporation. I guess what some of our viewers might like to know now are whether or not you have any specific do's and don'ts in the more general sense of entrepreneurship that you could help share with them.
Yeah, no, thank you. I mean, it's been a great journey. I started in 2008. Over these 5 years, I've set up a startup which then we sort of did a transaction with company reporting. We grew the business. We started adding customers. We created an exciting new product, and eventually we were able to get that business into a really good place, which is Wolters Kluwer's. So over these years, I've obviously had quite a few learnings. It's been an absolutely fantastic journey, one that that I would sort of do again and again if I could. Obviously, things may not work the same way, but for all those of your viewers who aren't entrepreneurs or are looking to do stuff of their own, the one thing I would say is just go and do it, because it really is worth trying it out. I was 30 when I started. I'm 35 now. If I hadn't done it then, I probably wouldn't have done it ever. So there's a few things which obviously I would like to sort of help out, and hopefully that helps your audience as well. So there's a few do's, things that you should absolutely do. First one, like I said, just do it. Don't think when you see something that excites you, go ahead and do it. It's worth trying it out. The other thing I always say to people is make things happen. Don't just sit behind and say, oh my God, what do I do? What happens next?
So this is once you started trading, as it were, once you set up.
All along. If you haven't been able to create a product, just make it happen. If you haven't been able to make a sale, make it happen. Call people, annoy them, do sales calls, do cold calling, go after people. I've annoyed so many people in my life. It's unbelievable, but eventually they see the value. David, who was company reporting, I annoyed him for a year to say, listen, we have synergies, we need to do this together. So, eventually it happened. And so my, sort of key do is go and, try out new things, make them happen for yourselves. Until you try it, you don't know whether it's going to work out or not.
And so if you're not doing it, then no one will for you.
Exactly, and someone else will do it. So, you might as well try it out. The other sort of do that I say to people is listen to your customers. It's really, really an essential thing to do, and it's so overlooked by most entrepreneurs. You will see people trying to create products based on their own skill sets, on their own platforms, based on their own previous history, but the basic thing you should do is speak to customers. That's where it should start. That's the whole underlying philosophy of company reporting. We've constantly had a dialogue with our customers. We've constantly iterated. We've really tried to push the boundaries with our customers, and that's through active engagement.
Are there limits to that though? If you have many large corporate customers, is there a risk that you suddenly become, you're trying to be all things to all people, or you're spending a lot of time and resources trying to service the needs of a whole spectrum of clients?
Yes, and there is a risk of trying to do too much, absolutely. And not always can you give customers everything they want. Equally, not always you can tell customers, what they actually want, because sometimes they don't know what they want. So you have to take it in context, but you have to really engage with your customers. It's important. You can't always give them everything they want, but it's important that the engagement exists.
And at least be aware and have that relationship.
That's right. Right. The other sort of do that I would suggest is iterate. Just try out new things. Make a product, put in something, and give it out. See what people think. Don't just think, what if this happens? What if that happens? Doesn't matter. We are in in an day and age where people are okay with small failures. They don't mind it. People are okay if you give them something which doesn't quite work. In that sense, Facebook, LinkedIn, all of them have given us that sort of added level of acceptance nowadays. People, accept that some things may not quite work, but as long as you're trying and you're seeing as doing something new, that's what people want to see. That's what your customers want to see. So sort of do not hesitate to try new things. Do not hesitate to iterate on your product. The other do I would like to tell you about is costs. Really important. A lot of businesses I see would just say, all I need is market share, all I need is new customers, I'm not going to look after my costs. Actually, it's the wrong way to look at business, because you're building it on the wrong foundations. So what you want to do is you want to have a very good feel for your cost base and how you're building the cost base. It's important that you do not just go after market share. You can do it in a promotional period, but with the complete understanding that there is a point where your costs are not going to allow you to do this.
So are you talking about that from a cash flow perspective on a month-on-month basis, so reducing your burn rate, as it were? Or are you talking about it in terms of increasing your margins to make yourself more attractive as a business in general? Or both?
Both, absolutely. I mean, I was the CEO of Company Reporting, but I used to do our own cash accounting. Mm-hmm. I used to be responsible for our bank payments, our bank receipts, every single payment.
Even as the CEO?
That it's £1 or £1,000 had to be approved by me.
Yeah.
So I had a very tight control over costs. And it wasn't so much about sort of keeping a control. It was about understanding where the business is. And yes, it automatically means we are better margins. We produce better margins than other businesses in the space, and that that obviously makes us more attractive. The other do, or let's say the other don't in this case is, one of the things that one of my advisors once told me was, it's really expensive to hire good people, yeah. But what's more expensive is keeping the wrong people,
yeah,
because that can really cost you a lot more. So it's important that if you know things are not working, have the discussion and sort of part ways. It's important to make those decisions up front.
And just out of interest, how big was your team before you were bought out?
It was a relatively small team. We operate in a slightly different way. We have editors, we have analysts,
yeah,
and then we have the IT function and central management function. But it's a relatively small team, and but a team that is very ambitious, and we believe we punch way above our weight.
So having the right people is key.
That's right, absolutely, having the right people. There's a couple of other things which, again, I sort of point out to people. It was a question you asked before about, did you have an exit in mind? Every entrepreneur, I would say this, whenever you start a business, when you're looking at something new, look at the exit strategy. Is there an exit? Are you thinking of how, what's going to be the future of this business? Because as we all know, 90% of businesses fail, and it's the 10% who actually get somewhere. They are always looking at opportunities, and exits don't come as exits. They come as opportunities. In our case, we saw the opportunity to partner with a large company, and it turned into something else. So it's important that you keep that at the back of your mind when you start the business.
Absolutely.
One final point, one final do, as somebody who's spent a lot of time sleeping, somebody who's spent a lot of time playing cricket, golf.
A man after my own heart.
Yeah, exactly. Think, spend a lot of time thinking, because as an entrepreneur, you've got lots of people who do stuff for you, right? And when I said initially make stuff happen, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to do it. You've got people to do stuff. It's important as the CEO or the entrepreneur to think, to take time out to think. It's important that you reflect back on discussions. It's important to reflect back on your own product, on its shortcomings, on its future direction, on its growth prospects. So spend a lot of time thinking, And I think Bill Gates once said that I don't really do a lot of work. I spend 60% of my time thinking. It's absolutely right. 60% may be stretching it, but do not underestimate the value of thinking.
And again, having that team around you to enable you to do the thinking.
Absolutely, because at the end of the day, ideas are ideas, and they are worthless unless you execute on them. So, and for the execution, I see the team as being essential. The whole team at Company Reporting is absolutely crucial in sort of seeing us through where we are today.
Great, thanks. Well, along those lines, let's take some time out to think about what you said. Thank you again for sharing with us. It's been an absolute pleasure, and you are an inspiration.
Thank you.
Perfect.